Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources. Updating daily at 6 a.m. New York.
Washington Post World, February 4th, 5:23 America, New York. Dozens of soldiers freed in Russia-Ukraine prisoner swap. Officials on both sides of Russia's war in Ukraine says dozens of prisoners have returned home following a prisoner swap. Washington Post World, February 4th, 5:02 America, New York. Royal Navy sailors hospitalized after drinking water on ship. A Royal Navy warship has returned to port in Britain after several sailors got sick from the vessel's drinking water.
New York Times World News.
February 4th, 5 o'clock America, New York. What's the correct color of bees? In Austria, it's a toxic topic. In the Austrian state of Carinthia, where the law favors light-colored local bees, those honey producers judged too dark, risk eradication. Sandro Huter checking his bees in Carinthia, Austria.
New York Times World News.
February 4th, 5 o'clock America, New York. Ties to Kabul bombing put ISIS leader in Somalia in U.S. crosshairs. Bilal al-Sudani's financing of the ISIS branch in Afghanistan that killed 13 U.S. troops in 2021 elevated him on U.S. kill or capture lists. Victims of a suicide attack at the Kabul airport on August.
Mirror World News, February 4th, 3:33 America, New York. Second spy balloon spotted soaring over Latin America as U.S. cancels trip to Beijing. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has postponed a visit to Beijing after a high-altitude Chinese spy balloon was earlier spotted soaring over the city of Billings in Montana, US.
BBC News World. February 4th, 2:19 America, New York. People in Chile loot beer after truck overturns. Locals in Santiago collect beer from the road after the vehicle carrying it was involved in an accident. New York Times World News.
February 4th, 2:04 America, New York. Balloon incident highlights fragile state of U.S.-China relationship. Recent efforts by Beijing to mend ties with Washington were showing progress, but the balloon's appearance over the United States illustrates lingering mistrust and growing tensions. Secretary of State Antony J.
Mirror World News, February 4th, 2:03 America, New York. Vladimir Putin body double mystery finally solved as expert highlights tiny details. Simone Malik, from Bradford, a portrait artist with a special talent for facial recognition, believes that specific facial features can prove whether Vladimir Putin has been using a body double.
Washington Post World, February 4th, 2:02 America, New York. China rushes to cap damage over suspected spy balloon as Blinken delays trip. The incident is a setback to recent Chinese efforts to repair relations with the United States and revive its economy.
BBC News World.
February 4th, 1:31 America, New York. China urges calm over spy balloon in U.S. airspace. The U.S. condemns China's intrusion as the Pentagon reports a second Chinese balloon over Latin America.
RT World News.
February 4th, 1:25 America, New York. Pentagon reports another Chinese spy balloon. A top U.S. diplomat postponed his Beijing trip after the first balloon breached U.S. airspace. The U.S. military has detected a second high-altitude balloon it claims to be a surveillance device belonging to China, last tracked traveling over Latin America.
Mirror World News.
February 4th, 1:19 America, New York. Pregnant monkey baffles experts as she was living alone in cage for years. Momo, a white-handed gibbon, shocked staff at a Nagasaki zoo after becoming pregnant as she was living in her own cage and was not in contact with any other male monkey.
CNN World News.
February 4th, 0:49 America, New York. Rishi Sunak has had a torrid first 100 days as Britain's leader. But the Conservatives might not be doomed. Earlier this week, Rishi Sunak celebrated his first 100 days as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
BBC News World. February 3rd, 23:53 America, New York. Venezuela's slow economic recovery leaves poorest behind. A crisis-hit economy shows signs of life, but in the capital, some are still barely scraping by.
World News. Breaking international news and headlines. Sky News. February 3rd, 21:48 America, New York. China denies U.S. spy balloon claims and insists it always abides by international law. China has claimed the flight of an airship over the U.S. was an accident and accused politicians and media of taking advantage of the situation. A high-altitude balloon floats over Billings in Montana, but the Pentagon would not confirm whether it was the surveillance balloon.
https://globalnews.ca/feed/.
February 3, 2147 America New York, London Knights strike early to knock off Saginaw Spirit 5-1. The London Knights finished a 4-game season sweep of the Saginaw Spirit with a win on Friday night. London Knights.
The Washington Times stories. Advocacy.
February 3, 2103 America New York. Second Chinese spy balloon flying over Latin America, Pentagon says. The Pentagon on Friday acknowledged reports of a second balloon flying over Latin America. We now assess it is another Chinese surveillance balloon, Brigadier General